and welcome to the first round of the FIA European Drag Racing Championships here in Santa Pod. It's also the Jubilee weekend, but looking at Dow, you would never guess.
No, definitely not. I just got dressed in a flag this morning because I felt like it. We've got all the action from the FIA class, including the kings of the sport, Top Fuel Dragster and FIA Pro Mod as well. Also, the UEM drag bikes are here with Top Fuel Bike, Pro Stock and loads of other good stuff as well. We're going over to the action right now. And we're on to the semis. Ian King on a bye, Niels Lagerlof against Rickard Gustafsson. Battle of the funny bikes over there. So first up, Ian King was your #1 qualifier with the Puma bike from the UK, sponsored by Gulf Oils. And this is going to be a quick one. Real nice launch for Ian King. On and off the horsepower a little bit. Just misses the finish line blocks. 6:27, low ET of the weekend. Clicked off early to 196 miles an hour though. There we go, that's what the parachute's supposed to do, slow him down at the other end. It's Top Fuel Bike against Funny Bike in the final. And this is that race for Gulf Oil and the UK, Ian King. And for Top Fuel Bikes as well. For Funny Bikes in Sweden, near side the racetrack, Rickard Gustafsson. Hole shot big time for the Top Fuel Bike in the far lane. Can Rickard run him down because Ian's off the power? Nope, at the finish line. 6:94, 188 wraps it up for Ian King. 7:14, 173. Bizarrely, all Rickard Gustafsson had to do what he'd done every single other run this weekend and run a mid-6. Just couldn't manage it in the final that time round. And one of the breather pipes off the turbo, I think, that time, coming off on the start line for Rickard Gustafsson. That could have been where the lack of power came from. Both drifting towards the centre line. But it was Ian King turning on the win lights. He will go into PiPPi Arena in a couple of weeks. Your points leader, Rickard Gustafsson second, and Niels Lagerlof in third.
Hello and welcome to PiPPi in Sweden for round 2 of the FIA European Drag Racing Championship.
It's also round 2 for the UEM drag bikes as well. We've got so much great stuff coming your way. The weather has been pretty soggy, horrible, rubbish. Yeah, it's been all of those. But it's drying out. The sun's just coming out as well. It's fantastic. We've got Pro Modified lining up behind us. Freddie Fagerstrom, quickest and fastest pickup truck in the world. Also, FIA Top Fuel Bike, just loads and loads of good stuff coming up. But for now,
let's go straight to the action. He's just way too excited for my liking. Now it's time for the quickest thing on two wheels. It's Top Fuel Bikes.
well, Top Fuel Bikes, the potential to run very quick and fast this weekend. So in the far lane, right there, the Gulf Oils machine from the UK of Ian King up against, this is a repeat of your final from Santa Pod Raceway a couple of weeks ago. He's up against, rolling through stage. I was going to say that is a huge shock for someone of his experience. Ian King goes through with a 666, 331, not quite what he was expecting, but yeah, Rickard Gustafsson with the turbo bike has run 6.4s on this racetrack. Could have done with one of them right then. So Ian King with a bye into the money round. Ian King's machine is based on pretty much the quickest thing in the world. It does have the potential to go well into the 5s. And this is a lot stronger and a lot straighter as well for Ian King. Full throttle from one end to the other. 6.10, new personal best at 360 kilometres an hour. That was a great run.
We're going to try and make this a quick run. How about that? Was that what you've been looking for all that time?
We've waited a long time for that. That was... He's keeping the throttle open. That's what happens.
Well, one way, that's probably the first full run for a long time, isn't it?
That is certainly the first full run for a long time. No, that was what we were looking for.
Well, the 6.10 Ian King goes into the final against Peter Svensson. Peter has run a 5.9 in qualifying though. This is going to be a great run. So, 2 Top Fuel Bikes in the Top Fuel Bike final at PiPPi Arena late in the day as the sun's setting. Peter Svensson for Sweden, Ian King for the UK. Both away side by side, Ian King in the lead, but a big wobble. Peter Svensson goes storming past him too. The quickest run in Europe, 5.82, 370 kilometres an hour. That was huge, and he takes the event win. Ian King in the points lead though for Top Fuel Bike.
welcome to Alastaro in Finland for round 3 of the FIA European Drag Racing Championship.
Yeah, we've also got a round of the UEM drag bikes as well. We've got FIA Pro Mod round 1 lining up behind us. It's going to be such a great show.
So let's get straight to the action.
The quickest and fastest bikes in the whole world. Top Fuel bike right now. Yeah, just over 1,000 brake horsepower, these things. Unbelievable. Semis are Ian King, Niels Lagerlöf and Rikard Gustafsson against Kai Selkema. And the biggest thing of note this weekend, Ian King set a new track record, a storming run on Saturday evening. 6.19. That's the quickest anyone's ever been on a Top Fuel bike at Alastaro. Up against the funny bike of Niels Lagerlöf. This bike can run in the 6s, and going on form, he could give Ian a real run for his money. But if the Gulf Puma in the far lane runs up to par, then it will be good night to Niels. We'll just have to wait and see. The last few centimetres into stage. Both lights go on, building the revs up for the funny bike. Well, Ian King with a wobble, out of shape, tries to stop the bike getting over the centre line, but in the meantime, Niels Lagerlöf with his first round win of the year, 6.88. There you go, told you he could run 6s. Ian King, sadly, after #1 qualifying, a great effort throughout the qualification rounds, goes out in round 1, sadly. Which still leaves Ian King with the lead. Niels is actually in second place now above Rikard Gustafsson. That's going to be interesting as the year moves on.
Hello and welcome to the Hockenheimring in Germany for round 4 of the FIA European Drag Racing Championship.
Yeah, it's also round 4 for the UEM drag bikes as well. We've got absolutely thousands of people packing the stands here in Bad-Württemberg in southwest Germany. It's been a wonderful, wonderful weekend so far. The track's been a little bit tricky, to say the least, though.
But the sun is out, so everyone's in a good mood. Let's head straight to the action.
Well, we're getting set, ready to go with round 1 of UEM Top Fuel bike. Those are your first round pairings. And the first one we're going to be seeing is that man right there, Ian King on the Gulf Oil Puma. Now, this racetrack has been very tricky indeed this weekend. He's up against Kai Selkema from Finland in round 1. Ian, with a very, very soft clutch setting, smokes the tyre 100 foot out or so, but still gets there. That was a very close race, much closer than we thought it was going to be, to be honest with you. The right-hand lane has had the advantage. You can see Ian clearly pull out in the lead, but spun the tyre, and Kai Selkema nearly got him at the finish line.
Obviously, everybody thinks that the left-hand lane isn't as good as the right. Congratulations, Kai. You got down the left lane very, very well.
Yeah, Ian won on a hole shot for the first time since I can't remember when.
We needed the whole shot, but that's what Ian's. That's part of the job. That's what he's there to do.
And it's to that first semi-final pair we go. Peter Svensson and Ian King rolling out in front of this huge crowd at the huge stadium in Hockenheim in Germany. Left-hand lane is going to be Peter Svensson, the less favoured lane, it has to be said, up against Ian King. You can see lots of clutch dust off of Ian's bike and a bit of tyre smoke as well, but he is out in front. Peter Svensson drifts out the groove, takes out the finish line blocks, but the first 6 of the weekend, 6.85 to Ian King. He's into the final. Well, what a great onboard shot that is with Ian. You can see him clearly pulling away, and Peter Svensson doing a great job just to hang on to the bike there.
We needed that. We needed that bad. Peter's good. Looking at it, he wasn't having trouble getting down track. I was worried.
Well, Mick Beaumont there, one of Ian King's long-time crew guys, great bloke, and good to see all of them in the final. So can it be an all-British final?
Well, Steve, the last couple of weeks have been pretty good for everybody in the Olympics, and this time at the Nitro Olympics, 2 British guys in the final as well. What are you going to do to beat him?
Well, we've stepped it up a little bit, but, you know, it's a real tricky track, so we've got to be careful we don't end up beating ourselves, you know. So the crew's been working, excuse me, the crew's been working really hard this weekend, you know. I've been trying to work this track out. It's a roll of the dice.
Ian, well, so far out of all the bike classes, you've got low ET. You've done the best job of getting down the racetrack. How have you done it?
Well, it's a combination of having a fantastic crew that know how to tune a bike for, well, what I say, challenging tracks, and a bit of luck mixed in there as well, and just me finding the right throttle position on the way down the track. I mean, it's hard to put your finger on it.
Well, the two that are doing the best job so far are both from the UK, and it's Ian King and Steve Willen for all the money. So the bikes are fired, the guys are just finishing suiting up and getting set ready to go. These bikes produce somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 brake horsepower, and the crews and all of them have spent a great amount of time trying to come to grips with getting the clutch settings and everything right to get down this Hockenheim quarter mile here this weekend. So left-hand lane is the dealer. First time he's been in the left-hand lane on race day, up against Ian King. Let's see what Steve Willen can do in the left-hand lane up against the Puma Golf machine. Ian King smokes the tyre. Looks like it's Steve Willen out in front. Indeed he is, but Ian King's still going. And it's Ian King just at the finish line. Wow, that was very, very close indeed. If you look at the numbers, they were very close at the finish line.
Ian, probably one of the toughest wins you've ever had, but probably one of the most gratifying as well.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Steve's a great racer, and we knew that him and Phil and his whole team would be on their game, and they were. I mean, they ran pretty well in that left-hand lane. That's the trickiest lane of all. You know, it could almost be a foregone conclusion before that he'd go up in smoke. Now it turned out it was me, you know, but it was a hard job, but my team did a fantastic job.
What's it like on the bike, trying to feather like 1,000, 1,500 horsepower down a racetrack when it's spinning the back tyre? Obviously, it's not like the cars. You haven't got, you know, four wheels. It must be much more difficult.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you're obviously conscious of the fact the bike's moving around at the back, and because it's spinning so fast, it's really like it's just on a piece of ice. You just twist your body slightly, and it really will swerve out. So you have to be very, very careful in the way in which you move your body around. I punched second gear early, or high gear, to try and calm it down a bit, but unfortunately it just made it worse. So it was tight, and when we crossed the line I really didn't know who'd won, and we had to wait until the crew came up and told us who the final winner was. But I think for what's gone on here this weekend, it was a good advertisement, if you like, for motorcycle drag racing in Europe.
Well, totting up the points after this round of the UEM Championship, Ian King with quite a substantial lead over Nils Lagerlöf from Sweden.
Hello and welcome to the final round of the FIA European Drag Racing Championship here in a very sunny Santa Pod.
Oh, it's been wonderful. We also got the final round for the UEM drag bikes as well. This is the exciting part of the season. This is a real business end where we get to hand out those big trophies at the end of the weekend, and there are so many tight points battles going into today's racing.
And thousands of people that have come out to enjoy the spectacle, so let's head straight to the action.
Well, we're into Top Fuel Bike. Your number one qualifier was Peter Svensson, and we're going to catch up with him right now just to see how the weather affects the track conditions and the racing here at Santa Pod.
Hello, Peter. Now, this is a nice scene at the moment of all your guys just basking in sunlight. We're all loving the sunshine, but as a racer, what is the problem when it gets too hot?
Well, the sun is shining on the track all day like this. We got too high temperature in the track, and it gets a little slippery. It's a little greasy on the surface, so we can't put as much clutch as we would like to.
So you have to come off the powers?
Yeah.
So the Swedish flags are waving this weekend at Santa Pod. So the man who would be champ, this is Ian King. He lost out on the number one plate last year to Peter Svensson. He could tie it up here today with a win over Otto Kniebel. And no mistake, whoa, whatsoever I was going to say, no mistake, but that wobble about mid-track was huge for Ian King. Yeah, the amazing thing is as well, he just doesn't even think about it. He just lets it settle down and gets straight back on the power again. You're going to get a great view out of that, your right-hand side of your shot there. This is on board the back of Otto Kniebel's bike. I must admit that camera is pretty precariously positioned. If anything goes bang in the engine, it's going to catch all of it. Watch that wobble again. Yeah, that was quite a big one for Ian King. Comes off the power and on it again. 663, 171, but it's win lights that count. Sets up a final between our numbers 1 and 2 qualifier, Peter Svensson and Ian King. Your final matchup in Top Fuel Bike. So Ian with a Puma bike the much more, how could I say, unique bike in the far lane for Peter Svensson, and he red lights unbelievably. Peter goes too quick. Ian King will be your event champ and European champ as well.
Hello, Ian. Congratulations. I know, obviously, it probably wasn't the way that Peter got a red light, but tell us, yeah, well, am I telling you the news now for the first time?
No. I couldn't believe he got away so fast, because when he went, I thought, oh my God, I must be really bad.
No, so if I'm right, he has got a red light. Wow. So that you take this event.
Yeah, but that's a shame for Peter. I mean, he's been running so well this weekend. I mean, you know, still class of the field at the moment, but yeah, win your home event, win the championship at the same event, it's fantastic.
Well, it did look like he was way out in front there. Ian King didn't even know. He was so concentrated on getting his bike down the lane, but there we go. Ian is your repeat champion in Top Fuel Bike. Peter Svensson ended up second.
So the winners and their teams are getting photos. It's such a great time to be here, European finals, and so much celebration behind us.
Do you know what? That song about Christmas, the most wonderful time of year, I'd like to dispute that. I think this is, to be honest with you. All these guys and girls have worked their backsides off all summer to give us great entertainment, and it all came together in just what has been possibly the most perfect day we've ever seen. I can't say enough about it. They've been absolutely wonderful, and it really is the best way to end the season.
Best way to end the season, and that's it for 2012, but it's brilliant to finish on such a great note. We look forward to seeing you again next year. Until then, goodbye.
From us.